Welcome back to another episode of This Old Shop. Today I think we're finally going to be able to finish all the demolition on our little project here. We got to get our HVAC out of here, and then we can start dismantling this room down to the size that we need it so that we have a lot more shop space. So let's get started. In our last video, we skinned and gutted our walls. We did leave this last piece of conduit, so we're going to go ahead and pull that out of there. And unfortunately for everybody playing the at-home drinking game, this week you're going to be sober. There's not as much conduit to take out as there has been, so I'm not going to say it as much as I have been. We didn't use any hangers on this one, they just bent a nail over it. So we just straighten the nail out, and our conduit falls out, and we pull it down. We'll take it apart, and then we'll go throw this in the pile of Scott's Building Materials Emporium. Opening soon. Now we can knock our box off the stud. It's just held in with a couple roofing nails. Jam our pry bar in there and pry them out of there. Now we can go ahead and wrap up our hillbilly extension cord. That really upsets the safety experts. Not that I called it a hillbilly extension cord, because the Appalachian Americans aren't easily offended. They're in fact upset because I will probably end up using that as an extension cord. Alright, safety experts and possibly some electricians. Who else can I trigger today? Oh, the HVAC techs. We're going to pull our duct out of here and our air filter. Just because I can't figure out what's holding this thing on after we took our screws out. So we'll take a peek inside. And there's just a little flange that's clipped inside there. So we'll lift it out of there. We got a hanger up here. Buzz that off of there. There's a little bit of wall in our way. So we'll use our wall removal tool. Knock this apart. The strength of the nails is greater than the sheet metal ductwork. So we're going to just pry these nails out of here. And our ductwork is free. We'll toss that in the pile of Scott's Building Materials Emporium. Well, I guess it's official. This wall has no purpose anymore. Time to say goodbye. Bye-bye. The trim was holding it up. Not only was the trim holding the wall up, it was adhered to the wall with paint. Another quality build. And now to carefully dismantle our wall so that we have more inventory for Scott's Building Material Emporium. Little percussive therapy. Now that we've triggered all the pacifists with our violent method of wall disassembly, we're going to use a gentler approach to remove this last joist. We're just going to stick our pry bar underneath there and pry out our toenails. Upon further review, prying out toenails sounds like more of a way to extract information from an unwilling participant than a pacifist way to remove a ceiling joist. And speaking of prying out toenails, car guys, what if you wanted to do to the engineers that design some of the stuff we have to fix? Time to put some more of my HVAC skills to use. We're going to take this ductwork apart. Hammer and dolly. It's kind of like a bodywork video. Straighten out that little tab. And we'll slide this little bracket off of here. Probably using the wrong names. Don't know what they're called. My HVAC training was basically just a bunch of stuff, and this is how you do it. No explanation, just watch and learn. And that's what I did. So I know how to do it, don't know the terms. I guess I know the important part. The little flanges slide through the center of that. And if we can open them up a little bit, it'll slide a little easier. Trying to save as much of this as possible. I don't know how much we'll need to reuse or if we can reuse any of it, but it would be nice to have it if we do. Or can. So we got our first locking strip out of there. Sounds like a good term for it. There's one in the bottom. I'm going to bend it over
So basically each duct has flanges on the sides, and this little locking strip just slides right down that groove. They bend one end at 90 degrees, slide it over, and then bend the other end over at 90 degrees, and that locks the two ducts together. So all we're doing is undoing it. We're straightening out our 190-degree bend, and then just hammering it back across. Had we got our bend a little straighter, it'd slide out easier. And because the perfectionist HVAC techs that installed this didn't trust gravity, they nailed this thing to the floor. So it's not going anywhere. Stick our pry bar in there and pry the nails out of the floor. Put two nails on this side. I want to make sure this wasn't going anywhere. So wiggle and pull, and we realize we still got some more work to do. A couple of screws in this one. That sleeve's out of there. And the rest of them, they decided to rivet in here. I believe they riveted all of this in there, but somebody had been here before and they put some sheet metal screws in that one that I was able to unscrew. I kind of appreciate this, somebody that's been there before. So we'll give it a little wiggle, and our sleeves are free. So we should be able to get our duct out of here. We hammered out those two lock tabs at the top and the bottom that held those flanges in, and the sides are just flanged together, so we got to lift it up to get those to slide past each other. And now we got the ductwork out a little bit. We can get these lock tabs out of here. You couldn't get them out before because they were going to hit the wall, and if we tried to hammer them the other way, well, the wall was in our way. So we just moved it away from the wall a little bit. We'll straighten out these lock tabs. This is your bodywork portion of this renovation. We'll get back to the rebuilds eventually. But first we need a place to work on them. Hammer this lock tab through. Slide our two flanges apart. Now we can take this big chunk of ductwork over here, still a few pieces, and we'll give it to Roberto Elgato, who's waiting to take it down to the lower level. I could take it apart, but I'm not sure if we're going to reuse it, and I don't want to waste my time if we're just throwing it in the pile anyway. This ductwork is not as light as you might expect. It's the good stuff. It's got insulation on the inside. You know, probably covered in asbestos and other fun stuff, but I didn't taste it to find out what was inside. This piece is a little skinnier, but wider. Can something be skinnier and wider at the same time? Apparently, because, well, this one is. I guess the cinematographer felt that we needed some, accent lighting for this shot. And by cinematographer, I mean the camera. The lighting literally hasn't changed, just the location of the camera has. Now we're going to pull down our little makeshift wall here. We couldn't get it out before because our ductwork was in the way. They did screw that part together. We'll unscrew that. We're going to unscrew the rest of this. I'm guessing that when they put these pieces in, they started at this end, screwed them all together, and then lost interest and just kind of set the other pieces up against the wall all the way down because the other pieces were real easy to take out of there. I wish they had lost interest sooner. Make my job easier. It's here, and believe it or not, it does serve a purpose. So we're going to leave it there. We're just going to take down enough that it's out of our way, at least for now. I didn't rent a shop, I rented a rage room, so time to work out some of those inner demons. Hammer this railing out of here. We'll hammer the uprights out. About 6 nails in it from that side, and 1 from this side. Toss that in the pile.
So we have this fine dollar store vinyl flooring, and it's a little bit too nice for out in the shop. However, it would be perfect for either back in our little room here or our room upstairs. So I'm going to try to take it up without destroying it, and if it plays nice, we'll reuse it for one of those two or both areas. And if it doesn't play nice, well, then it's going in the pile. So I'm leaving it up to you. Where do you want to go?
First, we need to pull our threshold out of here that's holding down our vinyl flooring. And the threshold is a little bit shorter than it needs to be because, well, there used to be a wall there until the last video. Pull our last couple nails out of there. And just pull up on the flooring, figure out how the locks work. Take out as much as we can. Basically, we need one row out of there, but that first row didn't want to come out, so we're just going to take out whatever comes out. Until I figure out how it works. Every style is a little bit different. When I said this was dollar store, I wasn't kidding. The good vinyl plank flooring is made out of a solid piece of vinyl, or at least the bottom of it is made out of vinyl or plastic. This is cardboard covered with vinyl, so it's pretty cheap. Very easy to break, but once we get it started, it should come apart. And like I said, it's going on either a floor in a storeroom or a room that, well, basically is just going to be a stock room. So it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just going to look good for the stock boy. And he will appreciate anything in there. It's basically going to be a lot easier just to keep it clean than anything else. If we didn't put it in there, it wouldn't make a bit of difference. But I have it. If I can reuse it, I will. Once we can get at least one row out of here from along the wall, it should be pretty easy. Should be pretty much just lift it up, snap it off, and keep going down the line. Unfortunately, getting started is always the problem for just about everything in life. We made it to the end. We got our first row out of there. Okay, maybe our first 3 rows, but we accomplished more than we needed to do. So now it should be pretty easy. We're just going to have to clean up our mess. Separate our pieces, stack them up, and I have a pallet just sitting off camera, and we're going to stack it all up on the pallet. Now it's pretty easy. Just lift up, unclips, move down the line. Once we have it all unclipped, we're just going to stack it all up. We keep all the full pieces together, make our life a little easier. Anything that's cut, we'll set off to the side. We might be able to use those in the future. Trying a new method. Pick up each piece, stack it on top of the next one, unclip the next one, and keep moving down the line. Seems to be pretty efficient. Probably the way I'm doing it from now on. And we're 3/4 of a way through the room. Still doing it this way. I think it's the best way I've found. And finally our last section. They did rip these pieces, they're a little shorter, but we might be able to use them later, so we're going to try to save them. This piece is kind of wedged under our door trim, so we're going to little wiggle and pull, and hopefully we can get it out of here. We're going to save it. We might need it because we're reusing this, and if I have to buy even 1 square foot of this, we're either going to throw it away or have an empty spot. So hopefully we have enough. I'm going to pull this last piece of ductwork out of here. Put that in our pile of ductwork for Scott's Building Materials Emporium. Now it's time to break out the weapons of war. Our high-capacity assault joist remover. Pull the toenails out of one side. Pull the toenails out of the other side. And lift our joist out of here. I think I got it in the middle. It's never very good at the teeter-totter. Seesaw, whatever you want to call it. I don't know why I'm afraid to drop it. Oh yeah, I don't want to hit the conduit over there. We got it centered. We're good. Oh, not quite. We have some flooring that's holding our joists in there that we're going to need to remove. So we'll use our joist removal tool, which is now being converted to a floor removal tool. Stick the forks underneath there and pry it up. So much easier than the manual way. If you try to get aggressive and take too much at one time, you end up just breaking these pieces. So you gotta kind of be careful. Take up a little at a time, work your way down the line. And just to complicate things, we're working around that upright for our former railing that just wants to get in the way and not let us take a big bite. I'm trying to save as much of this flooring as possible because we are going to need some of it to reuse for the upstairs. And just like the flooring we took up downstairs, I won't have to buy it. So we'll do our best to save it because I'm cheap. Looks like we got most of our piece out of there. But I want to be sure, because I don't like pulling nails. Chances are we can't get it all the way out of there, but we're going to try. And I think we're good. I have one row of nails. I can deal with that. Another piece of flooring on this side. Of course, we can't get all the way to it, but hopefully we can grab the edge of it with our forks. We got the piece started. Now we're just going to lift up and slide the forks in as we go, little by little. And with any luck, the more we get, the less chance we have of breaking that piece in half. And the less work I have to do to pry it up myself manually. Put that far fork underneath there. So we can get a little more of it. This is why we had to take the flooring up downstairs, because the Bobcat's driving where that flooring was, and I definitely would have tore it up. Alright, that's about all we're going to get out of that piece. I'm going to do the rest manually. But before we have to actually start working, we're going to continue to use the Bobcat. We'll pull this joist out of here, along with a little piece of our bridging. That piece is up. We'll move to the next one. Fold up our pieces out of there. See if we can lift them out of here without dumping them both on the ground. That should have centered it a little better. Told you I wasn't good at the seesaw. Oh. This side's still toenailed in. Oops, my bad. We'll just pull it out a little bit. If we get it far enough, it'll drop down on the floor and I can do it from the ground. At least one played nice. And now, because things didn't go my way, I'm going to punish this wood over here. We're going to knock our header out of here, separate our joists. Tried hammering it out, but, well, couldn't stand the abuse. So we'll pry the rest of it out of here. Now we'll drag our temporary flooring out of the way so we can get those joists out of there. Our temporary flooring is just our original flooring that we broke because we were a little too aggressive taking it out. We'll be less aggressive on this piece with our assault flooring removal tool. Grab the corner of it. I think I got it. Can't tell from where I'm sitting, so Pull it up a little bit. Slide our forks under. Pull a little more up. Slide it a little further. Pull a little more up. If you think this takes a long time, you've never done this manually. And I think we got it all. Maybe that last row. Yeah, we'll get that last row of nails by ourselves. Lift our piece up. Throw it 2x4 as close to the back as we can get it and drop it. Of course, our 2x4 is a little short, so we only got one corner. But it's enough that we can get our pry bar underneath there and pry the rest of these nails out of here. And our board's free. Move it out of the way. We can start popping the rest of these joists out of here. We'll pull our toenails out of here on this side. Pull the toenails out on this side. We've got them all. And we get one more. We've reached the end of the forks, so I guess we're done. I think this is about centered. Here's I might be right. It's like a game of operation for big kids. We'll go drop this whole assembly off in the nail removing gnomes area so we can pull all the nails out of it, and then Scott's Building Materials Emporium will then put it in their inventory. That guy's going to be loaded after this job. Since we're still in the Bobcat, we're going to go ahead and remove the rest of this flooring. Slide the forks underneath the end of it and get right to it now. That's about the best we can ask for. Well, we're still greedy. We're asking for more. We're going to try and get those last row of nails out of there, but let's be real. It's not going to happen. Sometimes the fancy equipment can't be replaced by manual labor. Take that, AI. Little manual wiggle and pull. We got that last row of nails out of there. Our board's free. We can head on down below, pull the rest of the joists out that were held on by that flooring. And we'll grab a couple more. And one more. Alright, that side's loose. Group the other side. we'll set this mess down on the ground. Whatever comes with goes directly to the pile. Whatever doesn't, we'll get there manually. Ooh, be careful. You don't want to knock that wall down. Scott cautiously approaches the tee. Lines up his drive. 4, please.
4, 5.
Is it possible to double bogey a drive? Because I believe I just did. Now I busted out our reciprocating butter knife from our bodywork days. We're going to go ahead and trim down this wall. So we only take what we want to take. We're going to leave the rest. We're going to cut it a little long. You can always trim it later. It's better to cut it shorter than try to add to it. Doesn't work with cars. Doesn't seem to work with buildings either. We'll go ahead and pry our joists out of here. The Bobcat makes that look so easy. Now we're going to use our circular saw to cut the bottom of this wall out of here. I don't want to use the reciprocating butter knife for fear that I might actually hit the ground and sharpen the blade. Archaeologists believe this circular saw came from the Bronze Age, one of the first in existence. We left just a sliver on the bottom of that wall. Not enough to cut in the concrete, but enough that, well, we can push it right over. Or maybe pull it. Timber. Roberto Legato was holding those joists up so that we didn't tear anything out that we didn't want to. He did his job. We're going to reposition him, move him over, and we can hold the rest of them up. From the center, we can pry out the ends of them. Pull our toenails out of here. There's just about 2 inches of these joists that run underneath this last piece of flooring that we haven't pulled out. And since I don't want to pull it out, we're going to work around it. Recalculating. There we go. I win. Kinda. That works. Out is out. I'm not picky. So if it worked for one, we're going to continue on down the line the same way.
I win.
Doctor recommended a little more percussive therapy, so we're going to knock this wall apart for the nail removing gnome. So satisfying, unless you happen to be a safety expert, in which case you're losing your mind for multiple different reasons. But, well, I'm not, so I don't care. One last piece of wall, still nailed to the floor. This was an original wall when they built the building. You can tell because the conduit that's in it comes up from the ground. We'll deal with that later.
A few of you have asked how my insurance inspection went. Did I pass? Basically, yeah, there's a couple little things to fix. For one, I didn't have any fire extinguishers in the building. That line was followed by the fire extinguisher was on the floor. And the reason that fire extinguisher was on the floor was because I took the wall it was attached to out the day before. Now, when they told me they were coming out for the inspection, I said we were redoing the building and there was construction going on. Do they still want to look at it, or do they want to wait till it's done? Oh no, it's fine, we'll look at it now. So basically everything that was wrong was just stuff that we have to fix anyway when we put the building back up. No CO2 detector, which we got a new one. We'll screw that into the wall. That'll make them happy. And there were a couple of breakers that were missing out of the box, which we're going to end up putting more breakers in there or a little block off plate. So I guess if they gave me things to fix, well, that's the kind of stuff I want to fix. The cheap stuff, easy stuff. So we're going to go ahead and take care of all that. And maybe I can find a fire extinguisher or something, you know, they said I have to have one by every door. Maybe I just need to get them a pair of glasses or a point. But at any rate, the inspection went pretty well, so I'm not really worried about it. Unfortunately, this is where we're gonna have to call it quits. We're out of time for today. Looks like we got a little bit done. You can see a little progress going on here. Imagine this as a solid wall, because this is almost, give or take a few inches, where our wall is going to be, all the way to the ceiling. So all this will be now shop space, 25 by 50. So you do the math, we gain that much shop space. It's room to work on a couple cars. So I think it'll be a much more beneficial use of this space than offices and service areas that we were never gonna use anyway. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Never slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.